I am Curran Bhatia, chatting with Paige VanZant. Paige, we know you spent a long time in the UFC and now making your Bkfc debut on February 5th. How pumped up are you for this new opportunity?
I'm obviously really excited. There was a lot of big decision making that went into me leaving the UFC and heading over to BKFC. But I'm super excited. Obviously, it's going down here in Florida, which is where I live now, and it's a big deal. They put on a really amazing card.
And your opponent, Britton Hart, she called you out. She wanted this fight. What do you know about your opponent?
I know a lot. Obviously, when I was looking into going into BKFC, I had watched her fight against Beck Rawlings. I had watched a few of her fights. I actually watched that Beck fight as it was happening because I was super interested in Beck's transition over to BKFC. It was just, out of curiosity. And it's a super exciting matchup. I love that I'm fighting somebody who's already fought for a title. She's been in BKFC. This is her world. And I'm coming in to take over.
And you're coming in, you're looking to make a splash. You're obviously going to be the star of this league. You were in UFC for such a long time, and I know that you were excited about free agency, about dipping your toe in those waters. And I know that you were also vocal about the compensation issues with the UFC. When you look back now at everything in terms of the money that you're able to make now versus what you were making then, do you think it was a little bit unfair in terms of the compensation with UFC?
I just know that as a professional athlete, especially with what we do and put our bodies on the line for a sport, I just feel that, we do need to be compensated more, especially in comparison to other professional athletes. I know that the UFC obviously isn't as big as the NFL or the NBA, but in retrospect, you do have to be compensated for, a career like this. It can be really short, and the idea is not to do this part-time, obviously. So I'm really happy that I was able to test free agency. I feel like if you're not getting paid for what you're doing, it's not a job, it's just a hobby. And I wanted this to be my full-time job. And now I'm at that point, and I can truly say that fighting is 100% my career that's going to take me into retirement.
And did your perspective on the compensation for UFC change because you were able to market yourself in so many other ways and create new opportunities for yourself, which I think I've recommended a lot of fighters to do that because there's no reason not to expand your brand and try different things. And you were able to do that and say, hey, I got paid this amount for this, for example, Dancing with the Stars or something else, and look at that in comparison. Did those type of opportunities open up your eyes to in terms of what's out there in terms of compensation?
Absolutely. And I think that was kind of a question that people had throughout the entirety of my fighting career was like, oh, when am I going to leave and go to Hollywood? Or when is LA going to take me? And that's never what I wanted. Yeah, Dancing with the Stars was absolutely amazing. And I wanted it to be like a one-time thing. And that's what it was, is I was doing Dancing with the Stars because of who I was in fighting. But being on the show, it was a big eye opener to be like, oh, there's way more money doing other things than fighting. And it's right there for me to grasp. But what I want to do is fight. And that's kind of like, the hard, like, give and take of the whole thing. And I'm really happy now with where I'm at, being able to negotiate. It did take, a big part of the compensation, especially for athletes or for UFC fighters and fighters in general, is negotiating your contract. And nothing is set in stone. Everything is negotiated. It's not like you're walking on to a team and that's the set pay for someone who's walking on. It's so different than a lot of other sports. And every single aspect of your contract is negotiable. And I luckily have an amazing management team that was able to come in and negotiate huge deals for me, because that's what they do, is they do huge deals. So I'm really thankful I have first round management and Malky and Abe in my corner, because that's how I'm able to look at my career. And it's like, it's done a 180 now.
And I've always said for fighters in boxing, MMA, the more that you're engaging with fans, the more that you're creating your community, right? I've always thought of that as a good thing, because you're engaging with your fans, you're bringing them into your world. And I spoke about this with, like, for example, Ryan Garcia in boxing. He has a lot of followers on Instagram. You can have a lot of followers on Instagram and also be a really good fighter. So would you have any advice to maybe young fighters coming up of the best way to expand your brand, the best way to get new opportunities and opportunities outside of fighting? What would your advice be?
Yeah, I would say definitely only do things that you're passionate about. Don't do anything just for the sake of like popularity or trying to build a brand. Of course, it's a job. I put a lot of time and energy and effort into building myself and going after these other things, but I'm doing everything just because I love it. And it's all stuff that I'm truly passionate about. And then on the other side of it is you need a really good team. You totally cannot do it all by yourself. So I have like my manager, a business manager. I have like the people in my life that I trust to kind of point my career in the right direction and to know if it's the right move for me, if it's going to build me and help me grow, or if it's not. So, the right team, having a really good team and a supportive team behind you is very important. And then also just be like transparently yourself. I think it's hard because a lot of people, like with the rise of Conor McGregor, we have all these people that are like, I'm the next Conor, and they all kind of try to embody his persona. And you can't. He's originally himself, and I'm originally myself. You have to truly just be true to who you are, but show off those other aspects that make you unique.
Absolutely. There's only one Conor McGregor. And like
Yep.
you said, authenticity is definitely key. So you started with the UFC in 2014. I'm just curious about your relationship with Dana White, with the UFC. How was it when you started back then? And then how did it kind of evolve through the years?
I always felt like I had a good relationship with the UFC. Of course, business is business. There's going to be times when you feel like you need to, fight for what you deserve, and you're going to expect pushback. That's just the way that it goes. So overall, I truly do think I had a good relationship with UFC throughout the entirety of my career.
And now that you have left the UFC, I know that Dana White had a couple comments on the way out. What is your relationship like now with Dana White in the UFC?
Obviously I fight for a different organization now. So it's just kind of like, you leave, you close one door and you open another one. And I don't know that he would ever be upset or, he would never put somebody down for going after their dreams and, trying to get paid more. Obviously it's Dana White. He knows how to make money. And that's the name of the game is, making money while you can.
And since you signed your Bkfc deal and you're obviously trying this new opportunity, have you communicated at all with Dana? Has he wished you luck or anything like that?
I'm just kind of focused on this debut, really.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. And so we know about your big following and Bkfc, and I'm sure it's going to be a fantastic opportunity. What is your plan for this year with Bkfc? I mean, how many times do you want to fight, and what are your goals in Bkfc?
We'll see what they have in store for me. Obviously, I would like to fight as much as possible. I would like to fight at least 3 times this year, maybe more. I know the opportunity and the door is open for me to fight as long as possible and to fight as many times as possible. Of course, you have to worry about, getting cut open or injuries, but all things are positively pointing to me fighting all the time.
And have you thought about, your future? Do you want to stay in bare knuckle? I know you're a very passionate combat sports fighter. So would you try other disciplines? Would you go back to the UFC? Would you go into boxing? Have you thought about kind of the future at all?
Yeah, of course. I'm only 26 years old, so I know that I have a bright future and absolutely any combat sport I choose to go into. Right now, I'm 100% focused on boxing and Bkfc and fighting in this bare knuckle organization. I think the door is open to me doing other things, but it won't be for a few years. I'm truly focused on this opportunity that I have in front of me, and maybe I will go to MMA again later, or maybe I won't. We just, I don't really know right now.
I know that in the past, I know you've gone through a lot in life, and you said at some point that fighting actually saved your life in a way. What is it about fighting that you're so passionate about, that you love doing it so much? Why is that?
I think when you truly love something, you can't necessarily like put a finger on why you love it. It's just a part of who you are, and I feel like fighting is just what I do. I can't see myself doing anything else and truly being happy. Like for me, this isn't a job. It's my passion, and I'm just very fortunate and thankful that I get to be paid for what I love to do.
And I know that, you have a big following and an enthusiastic following on social media, like we talked about. I'm just curious about your, relationship with your fans. I mean, you'll put up a photo and you'll get a lot of comments. Sometimes people will say things like "only FanZant" and things like that. Do you see those comments, and what do you make of that and your following in that way?
I only see like the negative comments when other people bring it up. For me, it's more, I feel like I have a good relationship with my fans. I feel like I am trying to engage them as much as possible. I'm doing a lot of things like I've created a YouTube channel. So my husband and I made a YouTube account and you can follow us. It's like a day in the life kind of series, but it's like behind the scenes. And it's called A Kick-Ass Love Story and it's on YouTube. But, for me, it's, of course there's going to be haters, but it's like, you have to understand that if someone's saying something negative about you, it's because they're not doing better than you. There's no one ever better than you that's even going to think about what you're doing. So it's, I feel like, yeah, negativity is a part of it. We just live in a negative world, unfortunately. And you have to try to be a light through all the negativity.
Absolutely. And when I was searching for, your record and just doing research, there was a forum that came up, and there's always people on both sides. And it seems like that to be like specifically true for you. And I'm just curious why do you think that is? It seems like in fighting, in a way, you've become a polarizing figure. Like some people support, some people don't. You've always been a tough fighter. You fought with a broken arm. You've always given it your all in fighting. It's obviously your passion. Why do you think that is, that it's like a polarizing type of thing?
I don't know. I mean, I don't necessarily know why people would ever choose to like hate another person or not like another person or not support them. I think the hard thing in MMA is, I guess in the world too, people just don't like what's different. And I feel like maybe I am different. Maybe I'm not the typical fighter. But I know that, there's a lot worse things going on in the world right now. So me focusing on someone not liking me based on my fighting career it's so small in comparison to everything else in the world. So yeah, I would love for everybody to love me, but I know that's just not realistic.
In your fighting career, I mean, you fought MMA, you fought in different types of leagues. Is there any fight that you'd like to have back? Anything that I know that you had a lot of injuries that obviously that, there's nothing that you could change about that. That's just part of the game. Anything that you would have changed in terms of preparation or fights that you took? Anything that you would have done differently up to this point?
No, I truly believe that, like, being a Christian and knowing that God has a plan for my life, I think everything happens for a reason. And I'm at the moment in my life for a specific reason. Obviously, like maybe if I would have won my last fight in the UFC, I maybe would have stayed with the UFC and re-signed a contract. Maybe I would have, there's so many factors that can play into it. But for whatever reason, I was meant to lose that fight. And then that brought me here to American Top Team because I knew I needed to change the trajectory of my training. I needed to change my coaching staff, my career. I needed to kind of refresh. And I showed up at the gym where, the girl I fought, now we're teammates and we train together and we get each other ready for fights. And I truly believe that everything happens for a reason. And yeah, losses are unfortunate and you can grow from them and you can try to understand why that happened to you and what you did wrong. But then at the same time, you have to just kind of trust the process.
And that was actually my next question for you. I saw the photo Amanda Nunes posted, you and her training. What have you learned from her?
Right now we're just training together, helping her get ready for her fight coming up. So, I mean, you don't really teach each other. You just kind of grow together as fighters, and we're being able to train together is really awesome. The more high level teammates you have, the better. We have a really amazing head coach, Pahumpa, and he's there with her in Abu Dhabi right now, getting her ready to fight. So it's just awesome to be surrounded by such positive people who are so in love with this sport.
And I know, obviously, with ATT, there's Amanda Nunes, Kayla Harrison, Joanna. There's so many people there. Have you worked with any of these other, well-known fighters and kind of worked with them, learned with them?
I'm specifically focused on boxing right now, and there's actually only a few of us that are just in the boxing program that are only focused on striking. So I don't take the regular classes. I'm just working with my striking coaches. And then there's two other girls and then Tiago Alves that are all signed with Bkfc, and we're focused on the striking.
And when I put up that I was interviewing you, I asked if anyone had any fan questions. One from Parth, he said, any stories from the Team Alpha Male days training with Dillashaw and Garbrandt?
Yeah, there's obviously a lot of stories that go behind training with Team Alpha Male. But honestly, I just had a lot of fun. It was a really cool experience. I can't pinpoint one funny story exactly, but being a part of that team was awesome. It was definitely something I'll remember forever.
And just to close it out, you've gone through a lot in life to get to where you are. You've always kept going. You've given your best in any kind of combat that you've done. What do you think it is about you that you're able to stay positive and to keep moving forward?
It's definitely hard. Everybody has times where they get down on themselves or they get down on the negativity that goes on around them. For me, it's a good support system. There's people I can call every single day. I can talk to my husband and my mom and my family, and they bring me back to just realizing that my fighting career is so small in comparison to the entire world. And just to try to be, if you're spreading positivity, if you make somebody else's day better, it ultimately makes your day better too.
Absolutely. And that kind of ties into my last question here. Obviously, with everything going on in the world, people are going through a tough time. You decided you were in a certain situation. You took control of your career. You decided to go for a new opportunity, right? You probably left your comfort zone in a way and tried something. You are trying something completely new. Any words of encouragement or anything that you would say to people out there that may be going through a tough time?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is just to show compassion. The world's right now so divided. I think we just need to be so compassionate and realize we're all human and we all bleed red. We all come from the same God, whoever you believe in. And try to remember, like, spread love and remember everybody has a heart and a soul and feelings. And I hope that would help, help calm some stuff down.
Paige VanZant, I want to thank you so much for the time. Best of luck on your Bkfc debut. It's on February 5th. You're taking on Britton Hart. Best of luck and thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you so much.